Northwestern Chronicles, Episode 31, The Mainline Disaster. Winter had arrived quickly on the island of Sodor, and many of Sir Topham Hatt's engines found it had been disrupting their daily work. Its prolonged stay was causing more problems than anticipated. Sir Topham Hatt's engines were mad that winter had taken such a long time to go away. It felt like spring would never arrive.
"I don't get it," said James. "How come winter gets to stay for such a long time? It's taken forever for spring to come." "I agree," said Percy. "I'm tired of all this ice on the rails. It's making my trains very difficult to pull." "Oh, enough, you two," muttered Gordon. "I'm sick of you two always complaining about the snow and winter. Just be happy that Sir Topham Hatt still has a use for you two." Now, everyone," calmed Edward. "Sir Topham Hatt will be arriving soon. I don't want you all complaining when he does."
As fate would have it, Sir Topham Hatt's blue car soon swerved into Tim's sheds. He promptly stepped out of his car and began to address the engines. "Attention all engines," boomed Sir Topham Hatt's voice. "I have an important announcement regarding all of your trains for the next coming days." The engines of the sheds were silent. "I've just been informed," began Sir Topham Hatt, "that there have been reports of ice and sleet all across the rails around my railway, meaning that no train is entirely safe when riding. When pulling your trains, it's very, very important that you all be extra careful and diligent. This ice that has attached itself onto the rails will soon melt when spring arrives, but in the meantime, it's important to be extra alert." "Excuse me, sir," pondered Edward, "but how exactly will this affect all trains? Are you saying that we're all going to have to go extra slow? How will deliveries be met with on time?" "That is an excellent question, Edward. As you all know, my line runs on goods and passengers. Passengers, of course, must be taken care of with extra priority, but any damaged goods will cost me an immense amount of money. I'm simply asking all engines to be careful with their trains. Not to go slower, just to be more diligent is all. I'm sure you understand." "Okay, sir. We'll do our best to be careful." Sir Topham Hatt returned to his car and promptly drove away. After Sir Topham Hatt left, the engines soon picked up a discussion. "Oh, that's nice," said Gordon. "He tells us to go fast when pulling the express, but also to be diligent due to all the ice. Well, what exactly am I supposed to do?" Oliver chimed in. "Weren't you just telling James and Percy to stop complaining about the ice and snow? I'm more concerned about how this will affect all our goods and passengers. The railway just won't be the same during this ice. Prolonged winter sure is having a dangerous effect." "I agree with Toby," said Duck. "I have a feeling this winter is going to be a little longer than we all want it to. But I suppose we'll all have to endure it together. We just have to be extra careful." "Duck is spot on," agreed Edward. "Just remember, everybody, to deliver your trains and goods on time, but also to be alert for any and all ice. And make sure you spread the word. I have a feeling Sir Topham Hatt has been a busy man recently, and won't be able to tell everybody." Although all the engines were slightly annoyed with the recent workload and the fact that winter had been prolonged, they all agreed with Edward. They would rather be safe than sorry. Another engine who had been disturbed by the prolonged winter was Stanley. He hated winter, as it often got in the way of his work. Stanley despised the long workload that came with winter, and resented the fact that winter had taken such a long time to pass. That day, Stanley arrived at the turntable. There were Murdoch, Diesel, and Laurie. "Hello, Murdoch." "Hi, Diesel." Murdoch struck up a conversation. "Did you hear about Sir Topham Hatt's warning?" said Murdoch. No, I haven't." "He said that due to the prolonged winter, ice and snow would remain in the line. He told the engines to be extra careful about it." "Well, I'll do my best." "I don't agree with you steamies on a lot of things," began Diesel, "but I will say this winter is rather annoying. It keeps bugging me all the time with the snow and the cold weather." "I agree," muttered Laurie. "So Topham Hatt keeps forcing me to work day in, day out, but there's no chance for breaks." "Well, regardless," said Murdoch, "I would just be extra careful if I were you. Where's your next train?" "Sir Topham Hatt told me to pick up a train at the docks. He wants me to bring it to Wellsworth." "Ah, the docks. I heard it's pretty busy over there. I will get there as soon as you can." "Well, thank you all very much. I should probably be on my way. Goodbye." Stanley arrived at the docks, and it was in fact very busy. "Oi, hello there, landlubber," laughed Salty. "Stanley, you must be here to pick up the train bound for Wellsworth. Cranky there is unloading the last package into the cargo car." Stanley quickly coupled to the first car in the line, and there was Richard Hatt, the manager of the docks. "Ah, thank you, Stanley. I'm assuming you heard my father's warning?" "Indeed I have, sir," said Stanley. "Don't worry, I'll take extra care of your goods." "Very good. Well, be on your way. We have timetables to keep." Stanley promptly puffed away with his train and made way for Wellsworth Station. Stanley chuffed down the line with his trucks. His train was a little heavier than expected, but he was used to it. Stanley soon approached Gordon's Hill. He stopped to gain some momentum before he decided to climb it. "Just gotta remember to be careful," Stanley said to himself. Stanley soon began to climb the hill. With all his might, he brought the train upon it.
The main line was integral to the Northwestern Railway, and Sir Topham Hatt relied on it daily to get his goods and passengers across the line. As Stanley was just about to complete the hill, he slipped on ice and sped down incredibly. The entire train followed suit. Up ahead at the Wellsworth crossing was Trevor, slowly making his way around the crossing. The signalman quickly went into action. He quickly diverted Stanley and his train onto the opposite line. Just up ahead was Henry, who was slowly making his way with a goods train from the quarry. He was arriving at the first platform at Knapford Station, and his last caboose had just made it over the switch when it happened. "Henry, watch out!" cried Stanley, but it was too late. Stanley smashed into the back of Henry's train, and his entire train followed. It was a splintering crash, and Stanley was in the middle of it all. Up ahead at Knapford Station was Sir Topham Hatt, who was waiting for Henry's goods train. The sound of the crash echoed all throughout the station. Sir Topham Hatt quickly spun around and looked in horror. The entire train was in a wreck. "Quickly!" cried Sir Topham Hatt. "Get emergency services now! And where's Harvey and Rocky?"
Breakdown crew soon arrived, and the repairs began. The damages were so bad that even Byron was called in to help out. Sir Topham Hatt surveyed the repair crew. He noticed a particular caboose. The Sodor mainline caboose lay in the rubble, right next to Stanley. He promptly stepped on top of the brake van and declared, "The main line shall not be a place for two engines at once. Stanley, I apologize. I told all the engines to be more careful, but I suppose even great diligence could not prevent a disaster such as this one. In the meantime, let us hope we can move on from this. I guess I'll be in the steamworks for a while, won't I? Unfortunately so. Although the engines don't like winter any more else than they used to, they respect the powers of nature more, and perhaps more importantly, understand the diligence required to run on the main line."